We are well aware that our teachers are strapped for time and need strategies for assessment that will not potentially add to their burden. Keeping this in mind, here's our third approach. We have asked different teachers and counselors currently in our schools to tell us about how they incorporate career assessment into their daily curriculum planning. We have for you best practice examples from both a large public school as well as a small high school.
In this upcoming segment, you will see the specific kinds of supports and interventions that are done to help the student move from where they are to where they want to be, to become successful in that aspiration. It is critical to place a lens of reality over that bridge that connects them from where they are to where they want to be, so that the student realizes any challenges that might be there or any obstacles that they might encounter as they move from where they are to being successful in reaching the goal of the aspiration that they have indicated.
Well, typically if a student doesn't have any idea what they want to do, or they've kind of all over the map, we'll have them sit down. One of us will, we're currently using eDiscover by ACT. We're going to be using COIN at some point too, and the district has purchased these software packages. And just have them go through that. And I've found over the years, I've done a lot of this with paper and pencil and kind of long tests, that the eDiscover has been pretty good. The online stuff seems to be popular with students because it's quick. What that does then is provide something for us to talk about. If the results come out not very accurate in their opinion, we have something to talk about as well. Just it'll get the ball rolling, get us talking about things. Typically if students then have a lot of, maybe they find one or two things that they find a passion in, I really think I'd like to explore this further, we can do an information interview or job shadow. And again, for those students who come in and are really serious about it and ready to kind of think about these things, I'll set up something like that. Sometimes students won't, they'll be sitting in front of the online program and you can tell they're just clicking and they're not really reading it. And so rather than make that a negative experience, I won't focus too much on that, and then we'll have a conversation about some things. And then again, a job shadow may be appropriate. If a student comes up with something that they're passionate about and they just don't want to work with that eDiscover, I want to find something that we can start with to get a bond built, to really build rapport with that student, because how would they trust me to talk about what they might be interested in if they don't feel comfortable with me. So, and I think that's where, because we aren't in a classroom, a lot of times the classroom teacher has already built a great rapport with that student. And so again, working with the facilitator or the teacher is very important. Sometimes the teacher will pick up on something. Well, we did this project and he seemed really excited about this particular career and this, so I just wanted to mention that to you. And so I know I make a notation about that, and that's something I might bring up with a student. And then they're often surprised, well, how did you know that? But that's where you get started with the conversation.
This best practice example that we're highlighting for you today emphasizes on providing college prep experiences for students. Essentially, the counselors work towards providing access to a 4-year college education for their students as appropriate. In addition, other post-secondary options such as occupational certifications or licenses, 2-year technical degrees, associate degrees, and community college may also be considered.
Students identify what they're interested in and whether they're interested in a short career versus a 4-year degree and even beyond that. And so once they've identified what their interests are, then we start looking at, what schools would provide that type of training for you. And do you want to stay in Austin? Do you want to be here local? Are you considering other places in the state of Texas, or do you think that you want to go, to the East Coast, West Coast, and anywhere else in the country? And also students who think about going overseas for that matter. So the next piece to that is obviously identifying a school that would be a good fit for them. and then finding out, what are the admissions requirements for that school. What are the admissions requirements? Are you a good fit for that school? What are the things that you need to do right now so that you can get ready to meet those requirements? And so whether it's taking the SAT and prepping for that, or the ACT, that's also, we talk about that. And we provide that service, the registration, and teach students how to do all that, and provide them with free internet links where they can study for the SAT. We also have some facilitators that can also do some of the test prep with them, so we put them in contact with them. And so now we're getting into the piece of the whole application process. So we look at what, obviously I have some of the top 3 universities that students look at, so I will do sessions about those top 3 universities. I'll do a session about the Texas Common Application, how it works, how to increase your chances of getting accepted where they're looking for in terms of your portfolio. And so that's, more of the small group. And then the one-on-one is, I'm very interested in going to a liberal arts university or an art institute, and so now we have to look at what does that mean for the student in terms of finding a school that's appropriate for them. Again, the admissions piece, and obviously we talk about what the cost of that would be, and how they can plan, and whether it's a good fit in terms of financial cost to them too.
A lot of students, maybe don't want to be bothered with, well, what do you want to be when you grow up kind of questions, and, well, let me just put this down on the page and they'll leave me alone. But we don't want them to wait until right before graduation, or, God forbid, graduate and not have a plan. So a lot of times students will put down, I want to study such and such, this will be my major. And what I get a lot is, oh, I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a nurse. So we're trying to kind of show kids the connection between majoring in something and what that might, mean in terms of occupation. And there's not always a connection, as we know. People will study liberal arts in college and then go and do something, decide what they want to do, or go to graduate school. But, so that they don't just say, oh, okay, well, I've decided what I'm going to major in, and I'm off the hook now, and I'm okay. And then they might get to college and realize that's not what they want to do, but we haven't really been able to help them while they're here with that process.
What you've just seen is an example of taking the information that the student has provided on the Career Assessment Survey, that is, where they are, and indicating their career aspiration and/or expectation, taking that information and bridging the gap between those two places, where they are, where they want to be, putting into place the supports that will allow them to move from where they are to where they want to be. In the upcoming segment, you will see an instructional strategy that takes that same information from the student and uses it to spread a lens of reality over it. It shows the student how they can use the classroom setting as a practice field for the workplace setting. That kind of information can be infused into a career and technology course, a math course, an English course. Take a look at this example.